It's kind of like if the TV shows The Handmaid's Tale and Alias had a baby, and that TV baby grew up to be a movie pretending to be Russian. That's right, today we'll be talking about the 2018 espionage thriller Red Sparrow. This movie is directed by Francis Lawrence and is written by Justin Haythe, and it stars Jennifer Lawrence as Dominica. Red Sparrow is for sure rated R for strong violence, torture, language, sexual content, and some graphic nudity. So this is going to be a itty-bitty spoiler-free review of Red Sparrow. So that means I'm just going to briefly talk about a strength, briefly talk about a weakness, and then wrap it up with a overall rating and recommendation. So I think for me with this film, the biggest weakness is just going to come with overall enjoyment. Granted, espionage thrillers aren't necessarily my genre, so I'm a little bit biased against it just from the get-go, but I do really like Jennifer Lawrence, and the trailers looked interesting, so this one did have me at least a little bit hooked, and then it just sort of wasn't my thing. So it's definitely a little bit of a personal preference there, but I think even for people who like espionage thrillers, more than I do going into this, it's just something a little bit lacking. It definitely plays pretty heavily on the familiar kind of espionage tropes. I do think this is one of those movies that probably would have benefited pretty significantly from a female viewpoint somewhere in there. Be it director, writer, cinematographer, editor, somewhere in the mix, if there was just a little bit more of a female presence, just because this movie does deal with some pretty strong themes of female exploitation, and it just had a weird vibe, but felt like it wanted to be a social commentary on this exploitation, but it just felt very exploitative instead. I just think that because of the issues explored throughout this movie, just having someone a little bit closer to the issues would have helped. And that's not to say that men can't talk about these issues or understand these issues. Obviously, that's not true. But I do think just a female presence behind the camera would have been a nice touch that would have helped get these themes across without feeling, like I said, it just felt exploitative instead of commenting on exploitation. There's kind of a fine line there, and it seemed to stay on the wrong side of that line. So that's just my take on it, and that, contributed to my overall enjoyment, which I gave a 5 out of 10, which is, doesn't fall into that awful range, but it's definitely mediocre. I could have gone without seeing it, and I don't think I would have missed too much in the grand scheme of things, unfortunately. As far as the strengths for Red Sparrow go, I will say that the camera work throughout was pretty impressive. Nothing like super awesome, nothing, pushed into the perfect range or anything like that. But it looked good, and there was some, there's definitely a little bit of storytelling at work within the camera work. There was at least one-er that I can think of right off the top of my head that was just really beautiful and well done, and I am a sucker for one-ers, so, got a little bit of a boost in the camera work category for that. And just the compositions throughout are just really well done. And so the camera work throughout, like I said, not pushed into that perfect range, but still pretty solidly good. I can't really get into too many more specific examples there without getting into some of the more spoilery discussions. So I'll just leave it at that the camera work is very aesthetically pleasing throughout the movie and does help contribute to the story in some nice ways. So that's definitely a plus. If you're more into the technical side of filmmaking, that would be a reason to go see this movie. It is a well shot movie overall. So the total score that I gave Red Sparrow is going to be a 64.07, which I still consider to be a good movie, but it's definitely getting pretty close to that mediocre range. For me, a good movie starts at a 60 and ends at a 79, so it's definitely on the low end of being a good movie. I think just in general, it kind of fell short, just across the grid. But it's pretty much every step of the way is just different iterations of stuff we've seen before. It really, it's not doing anything new. And yeah, like I said, the biggest issue for me is probably going to be that exploitative versus social commentary on exploitation. They tried to walk that line and just ended up on the wrong side of it. It made me a little uncomfortable in ways that I don't think the movie was intending, even though it is a movie that's by design supposed to make you a little uncomfortable or a lot uncomfortable in cases. So Yeah, and I really didn't get a super high score. I didn't love it, but it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, and if you like the genre, you're probably going to be more inclined to like it. That said, I do know it's getting pretty low, definitely low critic scores, and even with audience scores, it's fairly low across the board. So I don't know how far a love of the genre is going to get you in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, 64.07 on the low end of a good movie. So that's it for this Itty-Bitty review. If you'd like to hear some more detailed thoughts and you want to hear me go through my whole grid, please check out my nitty-gritty review for Red Sparrow. Obviously that will contain some spoilers. And that's it for this Itty-Bitty review. I will see you next week when I'll be talking about A Wrinkle in Time. Hey, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe to Griddy Films on YouTube by pressing this button. Also, like and share this video. You can follow Griddy Films on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for new video announcements, entertainment news, fun pics, and more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.